Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. I'm coming to you live from Pit 13 of the La Brea Tar Pits in Los Angeles. We're going to have a little fun at today's town hall. And I'm out here in the public wearing a mask. Los Angeles is locked down, so everyone out here is wearing masks. Anyway, we're going to have a fun artist today. We're going to get kicked off with our art talk. And is Sarah on?
Yes, she is.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Okay, Sarah, let's get started. And I'm going to walk towards the installation as you talk to us about this artist.
Fantastic. Sounds good. Hi, everyone. So yes, today we are focusing on an artist named Michael Heizer, who was born in 1944 in Berkeley, California. And it's funny that, AJ, you were talking about the La Brea tar pits and excavating fossils, because Heizer's father was a renowned archaeologist and a professor at UC Berkeley. So growing up, Heizer would accompany his father on archaeological trips, and being in such precious geological natural environments really had an influence on the type of art that Heizer created. His father was also obsessed with his work, as Heizer would become, and he ended up dropping out of high school to accompany his father across the world on different archaeological trips. He then went on to study at the San Francisco Art Institute in 1963. And in 1966, he moved to Manhattan, where he painted buildings to make a living and slowly befriended other artists such as Walter Di Maria, Carl Andre, and Frank Stella, just to name a few. So he went on to collaborate with Di Maria at a few exhibits in New York, one of which was called Earthworks. And was at Virginia Dawn's gallery. But Heizer quickly realized that the gallery life was not for him, and the studio art life was not conducive to the kind of art he wanted to create. So he moved west to Nevada and started creating the larger scale kind of land art that he is most known for. So this is a picture of one of his earlier, more famous works titled Double Negative. And Heizer built, or I guess I should say unbuilt, this in 1969 and 1970. So the piece consists of two trenches facing each other in the middle of the Mormon Mesa in rural Nevada. So the title Double Negative refers to the idea that he created this piece by subtracting. He blasted away at the rock to create a piece highlighting negative space, a topic that Heizer was very keen on throughout his career. He said, quote, "There is nothing there, yet it is still a sculpture." He was interested in the space between the structures and how you could create art from empty space and have the air and the space be the focal point of the piece rather than the solid matter of the sculpture or structure. So here's kind of a different angle of the same piece. So each trench is 1,500 feet long, 50 feet deep, and 30 feet wide. And this was actually funded by Virginia Dawn, one of his patrons that he first met in New York. And she ended up donating this piece to the Museum of Contemporary Art, or MoCA, in Los Angeles, with specific instructions from Heizer not to upkeep or preserve the site. He wanted nature to eventually reclaim the land through weather and erosion. And with that, he wanted to, quote, "underscore the triviality of man's attempt to impose his will on the environment." And I will also put a link to a drone flyover of the site in the chat just to get a better sense of the scale of this piece. If you look closely at the picture I have up right now, you can kind of see some people way off in the distance, and they're on the other trench on the other side of the mesa. So another notable work that Heizer created is called The City. And this was started in 1972, and the project is still ongoing. So Heizer was inspired by visiting Chichen Itza in Mexico and set out to create one of the biggest landmarks ever. So just to give you some scale, this currently is the size of the National Mall. And it's created by using stone, sand, concrete, different earth materials, and assembled using heavy machinery. You can see there's a cement truck in the photo. And it was supposed to have a completion date of 2005, but in 2010, it was still unfinished and very unwelcome to visitors. If you were here last week and you remember Terrell's presentation, we talked about his rodent crater, and that was open to some visitors, even though it's an ongoing work in progress. But Heizer does not want anyone to see it right now, and because the city is so remote, there's nowhere that a passerby could see the project without having to trespass on private property. And the city consists of a network of giant mounds, pits, walls, and other structures. But what's most interesting to me is that Heizer took inspiration from these historical monuments such as Chichen Itza or Native American mound builders, which those have a practical purpose, whether it was a temple or a dwelling. But he goes and makes a man-made structure or a city, and it just kind of begs the question of like what an archaeologist hundreds of years down the road will think this structure was. You know, will they think it was a real city, or, you know, maybe they'll have enough documentation to know that it was made solely as a work of art. And the dimensions of this are roughly 1,300 feet by 6,500 feet. So this is Heizer's levitated mass. It's kind of the piece of the day. And it's permanently on display at LACMA in Los Angeles. And he originally had the idea to do a similar project with a big granite boulder in 1969. But technology and equipment were just not advanced enough to be able to transport a boulder of this size and weight. So this 340-ton granite boulder took 11 days to be transported from a quarry in Riverside County to Los Angeles. And because of its weight, it could only be transported at night on a transporter the size of a football field that could only go 7 miles per hour max, just because it was so heavy. And so I'm going to flip through some photos that AJ sent me of the boulder being transported. You know, it drew big crowds along the way, and became almost kind of famous. It's a famous boulder. And in those 11 days, you know, as I said, many people gathered to see it being transported. And I love this fun fact that spontaneous block parties and at least one marriage proposal took place at the transporter's various resting places. So I'll flip back to the original photo of it. So this piece really highlights, of course, the land art or the earth art that Heizer was known for, and also, again, the negative space aspect. So how it's built is viewers walk through an excavated corridor underneath the boulder, and while the boulder is the main piece of the sculpture, looking up from below creates an area where the air and the sky kind of shine through and interact with the boulder. So if AJ is ready, I will now turn it over to him, who should be currently at Levitated Mass at LACMA.
Hey, thank you, Sarah. I find this artist is absolutely fascinating. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. That's awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
so I'm going to actually let everyone. We're all going to experience this together. Okay. So first of all, they really were block parties. We actually, I think it's like 2 in the morning. Those photographs were taken like at 2 in the morning in just a little town next to Long Beach, and it was literally hundreds of people just basically having a block party at 2 in the morning just to watch the rock go through. So it's captivated a lot of Los Angelinos, and this is actually quite an experience because it's 340 tons of rock, and we're going to actually walk 15 feet under it, and it's almost like walking through a canyon. I'm just going to walk backwards, and hopefully I won't hit anything. We'll see. Can everybody see the rock behind my head?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to try to see, look at that view. It's a pretty cool view there. And if any of you are visiting Los Angeles, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art is just a fascinating place. Lots of different art. I do want to contrast this to Terrell from last week. So Terrell was a lot more about light and airiness and clouds, and principally about movement. This is almost the exact opposite. This is just static and stable. And so it's kind of interesting contrasting Terrell to Michael.
Uh-oh.
Michael was actually skeptical about this, I believe, right? He
AJ, we're
actually
losing you.
knows what his was.
AJ, we're losing you.
Sorry, you're losing.
It's in and out, yeah.
Oh,
And as you
I'm
go
gonna
closer
walk
to
back
the canyon.
out of the canyon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I guess maybe this is as far down into the canyon I can go. Oh, that's sad. Okay. So Michael's really has never publicly said the why around this boulder. And I mean, we can just only guess. I mean, and we should ponder that question, because is it just a rock? Or maybe it's some symbolism around Atlas or symbolism around Cepheus. Maybe it's just pure landscape art. Who knows? And so it's kind of really interesting. This rock's been now here for, I guess, nearly a decade. And no one really knows why Michael, conceived of this 50 years ago. I'm going to try to walk through this and see maybe we don't lose the signal, because it's quite an experience.
We lost you.
You
No.
still have me?
No, you're frozen. We can't hear you.
All right. This is what we call an urban canyon.
Yeah, no cell phone signals.
All right. Yeah. So do we have any questions of Sarah?
I was wondering how safe is the installation? Do we have any idea on that?
Well, I don't think anyone's actually ever gotten hurt, other than just kids playing in here, maybe.
I was watching a video that talked about, they were interviewing, I think it was a LACMA video that was interviewing the builder that helped Heizer create kind of the foundational structure, and it is reinforced with an insane amount of steel rods underneath the ground. So it's really, really safe.
And yeah, do we know, I mean, I'm assuming it's very popular, that a lot of visitors coming through there on a regular basis.
I think so. I think, yeah, LACMA in general is kind of, I guess my opinion is kind of the pinnacle LA art museum, if you will.
Yeah,
they just have so many different styles of art. So it is very popular.
But Maureen, to answer your question, that is one of the hot selfie spots.
Oh, is it? Okay. See?
It is, but it's during the day. If you go like at night or in the evening, there's hardly any people there. I feel like that's the best time to go see LA lights and this monument. It's like hardly anyone there at night.
Awesome.
Cool.
Is it lit up at night?
The rock
It's
is
lit
not.
up. The rock is not. Yeah, there's a shadow underneath it. It is lit up, but there are security guards. So if you can talk to one of them and you can go.
I see.
I've done that. He was a nice person. He just let me go. So it was nice.
Hey, Sarah, I have a question. Isn't this also the home of Hockney's famous Mulholland Drive?
I am not sure. I would have to look that up. I mean, LACMA just has so many different styles of art by different, artists. So yeah, I'll look into that.
I believe it is.
Ah, thank you.
Perfect. And I will go ahead and put the drone flyover in the chat right now to see Double Negative, his piece in Nevada.
All right. Am I back on?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
All right, great. So in fact, Mulholland Drive is here, Sarah, at LACMA. It's a fabulous canvas. It's a big canvas. Of course, LACMA's closed now, but it's one of the things to see when you come here to LACMA. Okay, do we have any other questions?
I'm looking in the chat just to see if there's anything else. No, I think no more questions that I can see, AJ.
Great, thank you. So even during this period of lockdown, it's a fairly popular place to actually just bring your children or dogs and just walk through.